Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cook meals with less flourishes for my sister-in-law? I, F28, make meals every day for me and my husband, M31, to take to work. I enjoy adding my own personal flourish to the meals, usually something like putting toppings in the shape of a heart or drawing a cute face on a snack. It's a fun hobby of mine, and it brings me joy later in the day to open my lunch and see it nicely arranged. A few years ago, my sister-in-law, F33, had to take a lower-paying job after an accident left her unable to work at her previous one. I began making her meals like I did for my husband and myself, as I knew she was struggling both financially and emotionally. She lives very close to us, so my husband always just dropped them off on his commute to work. I always added my extra touch to her meals as well, as I enjoy cooking and figured it would be a nice thing to do. However, she called me a few months ago and asked if I could stop making her lunches so bourgeois. I legitimately thought she was joking, calling a heart-shaped piece of seaweed bourgeois, but according to her, none of her colleagues at work have such elaborate lunches, and it makes her feel as if she is flaunting her status. She is not paying me for the lunches, and it takes me an extra 10 minutes maximum to add a fun touch to them, so I was confused on her train of thought. I thought that maybe her co-workers were taking her lunch and she didn't want to tell me, but I agreed to make the lunches less fancy because I wanted her to feel comfortable. Since I make the exact same meals for all three of us, now I just don't put effort into the presentation of one of them. Since my husband drops off the lunch on his way to work, there has been 1 or 2 times where he has accidentally given her the wrong box. I have labeled which lunch is not flourished, but in the rush of the commute there is still the occasional instance of taking the wrong box. My sister-in-law asked me a few days ago if I could just stop making both me and my husband's lunches fancy, due to the risk of her being given the wrong one. I refused, as it makes me happy to see the extra touch of personality in the food, and told her that she wouldn't die from one accidental, fancy meal, which she was furious at and hung up on me. She has been refusing to talk to me over the past few days, and when I tried to call her to reason, she kept hanging up. She has told my husband that she will only talk to me if I agree to stop making all of our lunches so bourgeois. I am still making her lunches every day and my husband dropping them off, and while my husband agrees with me that her demand was out of order, he has now said that maybe I should just make all the food less flourished just so that she will not be angry if there is an accidental swap of lunches. I know it would be easy on me to just not flourish the food, but I don't want to give up my hobby for a theoretical chance of her receiving the wrong box. Am I the a-hole for refusing? Edit: this is out of character behavior for my sister-in-law. She is usually a very sweet and considerate person, she watches my daughter for free, and has never been so reactionary about a lunch before. I'm unsure about completely stopping giving her lunches due to one issue when she is normally so kind. I will provide an update when I talk with her and my husband. Top comments. Not the a-hole, but I think there is something more going on here. Is this kind of reaction normal for her when she doesn't like something? It just seems like such an odd overreaction that I wonder if there is something she isn't telling you that would make it make sense. OP replies: I thought so too. Normally she's a really reasonable and kind person, so it didn't make sense to me that she was so reactive over her lunch. The only issue that I could think of was that maybe she was giving the lunch to someone else and that she didn't want it to be obvious that she did not cook it. I am not sure. Why don't you color code the lunch boxes so that it will be easy to quickly identify which box is the sister-in-law? Overall, not the a-hole, you are doing her a favor. She should be grateful, and if the issue is her workmates making comments, then she really should be standing up for you to them that you are such a supportive sister-in-law and they should be all lucky to have someone like you in their life. Not the a-hole, she's a thankless biatch. OP replies: this comment made me laugh, thanks. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister to stop expecting me to play baby daddy? My 29F twin sister, Maya, has a 1-year-old son, Lucas. A little backstory: she had a horrible pregnancy right from the first trimester and had to quit her job since she was spending too much time out of the office. Her ex-boyfriend turned out to be a POS who claimed Maya had cheated on him and pinned the baby on him, and when my family insisted on taking a paternity test as soon as the baby was born, he agreed but went out for some milk before the due date. After Lucas was born, finances became too tricky with a newborn and Maya's postpartum complications. She asked if I could let her stay with me temporarily so she doesn't have to pay rent, and I agreed. I have an extra room in my house, which I inherited from my grandma, so I don't have to worry about rent either. Long story short, it's been tough living with a baby whose mother needs so much more help than one person can provide. Our parents live too far to be of any help. Anyway, I didn't mind waking up half the time to give Lucas his bottle or staying with him when she needed some time to herself. I also paid for everything baby-related. Hospital bills for both her and my nephew, food, clothes, and diapers, you name it. But now that both Maya and my nephew are stable enough that she resumed working, she started pushing for more. She expected me to keep paying for everything, but I told her it's harder now that I'm not putting in as many hours and I get paid per hour. Still, she buys nothing and I end up paying anyway. She also thinks it doesn't make sense to pay for daycare when I'm home most of the day. I ended up paying for it myself when she wouldn't. I think it's important to add I refuse to adopt Lucas. Everyone has always known I will adopt a child or more in the future, but when Maya asked, I didn't think she would be willing to stay in her bio son's life as an aunt, and I don't think the confusion would do anyone any good. So Monday, she asked me to take Lucas to his hospital appointment and I said no. I told her to take a day off for that, because my job hasn't been doing well lately as I've been spending too much time taking care of Lucas. She pointed out how this is my nephew and if I adopt kids, I will need to make sacrifices too, to which I said, I will make them when the time comes, but I'm not Lucas's dad, and although I'm happy to help where I can, I shouldn't be expected to change my life for him. Maya took a day off, but since the appointment, she hasn't spoken to me except a yes/no mumble when I talk to her, and she's been keeping Lucas in her room when he's not at daycare. I love the little guy with all my life, and I'm wondering if maybe I took things too far. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add because I can't reply to all the comments. I may have caused some gender confusion with my phrasing, but I am female, we're identical twins. I used the exact words, I'm not his dad, in our argument despite my gender, so that's what I wrote on the post. Top comments. Not the a-hole. Mentioning you'll have to make sacrifices after how much you've already stepped up reeks of manipulation and entitlement. Yes, she has it hard, but she also needs to appreciate and respect how much you've helped. And you need the ability to live and move freely or you'll both sink. Perhaps she should go move in with mom or dad, but you should definitely discuss responsibilities/finances and a move-out date. Not the a-hole, important boundary set here, you are not the father or employed as a babysitter. Setting this boundary now is important to nip unreasonable expectations in the bud. Not the a-hole. Your sister is taking advantage of you. You need to reclaim your life and house. Not the a-hole. I have sadly been in your position as a sister and I must say, it won't end well. You will always be reminded that it's not your kid when it's convenient for them. In my opinion, she should live on her own with her kid. You can then do normal auntie duties and not second parent duties. I hope this helps. If it doesn't, disregard. Good luck. Opie replies. Thank you. Yeah, I think this would help. I would hate to kick her to the curb right now when she's still struggling, but if I get my working hours back, I can help financially from a distance as an aunt. Actually, the boy calls me mama sometimes since his mom and I are identical, and I guess he gets mixed up once in a while. So yeah, I can smell the "he's not your son" argument already. Next story. Am I the a-hole for blindsiding my roommates after moving out? I 23F share a flat with Sarah 24F and Vera 24F. Rent in our city is very expensive and all of us can only affording living here by renting a 3-bed flat as we couldn't buy ourselves or in a 2-bed flat. Me and Vera were single when we moved in last year and Sarah had a boyfriend, Jake 26M. Jake is clean, quiet and pays part of our utilities as he comes over most nights. Vera has recently started dating Ollie 23M, who is a friend of Jake and Sarah's. Ollie has made a few weird comments about me. He pestered me about my weight and told me he could bench me and also asked me some weird sexual questions. When I flagged this to Vera, I've never even met Ollie before he made those comments, she said he's just trying to be friends. Sarah and Jake said it was just his sense of humor. Last week, me and Vera had a big fight after I overheard Vera and Ollie in the shower together. We have one bathroom in the house, and my bedroom shared a wall, so I heard them having sex. They also didn't clean the shower afterwards, and Sarah stayed at her parents' that week, so I ended up cleaning the shower. I brought up this issue to Sarah, who isn't confrontational, and said now that I've brought it up to Vera she knows how I feel and won't do it again, but she didn't at all find it as weird as I did. Since then I have avoided Ollie/Vera and kept to myself. I am not really friends with Vera anymore, and Sarah remains neutral, which favors Vera, so I was thinking of moving out. We had all signed on for the next year as our contract renews in September, before I met Ollie, and my estate agency said I couldn't get out unless the contract had been violated. I just live in that house now. I'm on awkward terms with the other two, so I read the contract and one of the clauses says only declared tenants can stay for extended periods of time, so I reported that Vera has her boyfriend over, and proved it as the utilities went up in the time I said. This got me out the contract, however the landlord is evicting Sarah and Vera because of this. They said I blindsided them and they will struggle to find a place by the end of this month. My parents live 1.5 hours away, so I am moving in with them, but the other two are from a different city so can't do the same. I didn't intend for them to get evicted, but after the fight over the shower I realized I couldn't live with them as any issue we have, Vera won't listen and Sarah will stay neutral. Top comments. Not the a-hole. You have the right to feel comfortable and safe in your own home, and it sounds like Ollie's behavior and the subsequent issues with your roommates made the living situation unbearable for you. While it's unfortunate that Sarah and Vera are being evicted, their situation is a consequence of Vera violating the lease agreement, not of your actions to protect your well-being. Ollie's inappropriate behavior towards you is unacceptable, and it's understandable that you felt uncomfortable around him. Vera dismissed your concerns, and Sarah didn't support you, which left you without a peaceful living environment. Your decision to report the lease violation was a result of their inaction in addressing the issues you faced. It's important to recognize that your roommate's eviction is not your fault, it's a consequence of Vera's choice to have Ollie stay without following the lease agreement. It's natural to feel sympathy for their situation, but remember that your own mental health and comfort in your living situation are also essential factors in this situation. Not the a-hole. Sorry, they technically voided the lease themselves and left themselves open to that. They played down your uncomfortableness with the guy, and the shower sex thing is just gross, seriously. I mean, sucks for them, but there's 4 of them, they can figure it out. Also, they didn't think of your thoughts and feelings. I wouldn't bother with theirs. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law off after she got upset that me being a new father means her kids will get less attention? I, 37M, was recently informed that I'm a father. My daughter is 16 years old, and the result of a tryst with an older woman when I was 20. This is not a brag, it's simply informative. It wasn't a random one-night stand, we weren't strangers, we had known each other for several months up until that point and continued talking for almost a year afterward. Just never told me. Also, it wasn't an affair. I don't know why she never told me. I met my daughter for the first time recently, and everything went well. We've been communicating almost daily via text. She's excited to get to know me, holds no resentment against me because she understands that I was never informed of her existence at all, and is excited to meet the paternal side of her extended family. All in all, everything went so much better than I was expecting. She's the spitting image of me, but we did a test just to be absolutely certain, and the results proved that she is indeed my daughter. Beaming face with smiling eyes, we'll call her M. So obviously, I announced this news to my family. My sister was the first one I told, because she has been my confidant since we were in high school and we don't keep anything from each other. But with M's blessing, I have also informed other family. My oldest niece, the daughter of my sister, is excited because now all of a sudden she has an older girl cousin. Very big deal for a 10-year-old. The problem is my sister-in-law, 22F. We'll call her S. I'm not a rich guy, but as a bachelor I do alright for myself. I have a tendency to spoil my nieces and nephews with candy and sometimes toys when I visit. Well, my youngest niece, the daughter of my brother and S, recently had a birthday party. A lot of the extended family was there, including my own grandparents. Closer to the end of the party, S made a comment about how I didn't even know that M existed for 16 years and it shouldn't be such a big deal that she becomes part of my life now, because I was fine without her for so long and vice versa. She said she just doesn't understand why I'm making it such a big deal. Well, despite the fact that I'm generally very slow to anger and always have been, I unloaded on her. I said some things that I shouldn't have, that I now regret, and left the party. S has been texting me all week about how terrible I am for what I said. My brother is on her side because it's his wife, but my sister is on my side because I was provoked. Our parents haven't been involved, but S has obviously told hers because they've texted me as well. Edit, I said that she was being selfish and was too dense and blonde to understand why it's a big deal for me even if she doesn't think it is. Edit 2, some of y'all are real hung up on the blonde part. Understand that this was said in anger and in the heat of the moment. I understand that it was too far. Edit 3, important note, the comment made at the party was not the first comment. She'd been making passive-aggressive comments all last week, which I ignored. Top comments. I would say you're not an A for shutting down her talks, but you've given a ton of detail only to be super vague about what you told her. You could been well in your rights or super awful. So it's hard to judge. Edit not the a-hole. OP replies. That's a good point. Honestly, I was concerned about the character limit, but I did go into a lot of detail. What I said to her is in the judgment box reply where I explained why I think I might be the a-hole. However, I'll edit the post to include what I said. Not the a-hole. I'm certain you didn't respond to the news of her first child in this way. OP replies. Certainly not. What I said to her is now in the post. Not the a-hole, it's a very big deal. She had it coming. Keep an eye on her when she's around your daughter. Airhead could be making snide remarks around her. OP replies. I definitely will, but if M takes after me in more ways than simply appearance, she won't tolerate it. I'm slow to anger, like I said in the post, but that doesn't mean I won't put a stop to inappropriate behavior. I just don't always do it in an angry fashion, you know. It's barely been 2 weeks since we met for the first time, so I'm not really sure how she would handle it, but I like to think she would stand up for herself. Next story. Am I the a-hole for being ungrateful to my sister-in-law after she threw us our gender reveal? I, 30F, and husband, 32M, have been trying for a baby for 8 years now. After 3 failed IVFs, 2 miscarriages, and many doctor's appointments later, we are finally pregnant with our rainbow baby. We are so grateful yet cautiously optimistic. I have always been super close to my in-laws and have never had any issues with them. In fact, they have been like a second family to me. Especially my sister-in-law, 35F. She has been there for us through this infertility journey more than anyone else we know. And, as you can imagine, has been wanting to celebrate this time with us. She begged us to do the gender reveal and we told her several times that we want to keep it intimate and just immediate family. We weren't ready to announce our news to anyone just yet because I suffer from anxiety and PTSD from our previous losses. Our gender reveal day came and despite our clear requests for it to be just family, she invited some of her friends, and friends of the family and her husband's family. I was visibly upset and tried to hold it together until after the gender reveal to cry it out because I didn't want to cause a scene. I felt like I couldn't even enjoy my own gender reveal. I told my husband the way I felt and he agreed that we should confront her about it. When we did, she took it very personally and felt we were being ungrateful and unfair. She said she had put a lot of thought into our gender reveal and just wanted us to feel celebrated after all these years. She thought the more people the merrier. I told her we are grateful, it's just that we had only one request that she completely disregarded and that she has to understand how this could have upset us. But she insisted that we were being too much and even rude for coming at her instead of thanking her. So am I the a-hole for being unappreciative and upset, or is she for not respecting my boundaries? Edit to clarify. Sister-in-law has kids. She didn't post anything on socials. My family was invited and present, husband's friend was also invited but he was out of town and couldn't make it. I didn't announce to my friends yet and majority of them have moved out of state for grad school or job opportunities, so that is the reason they weren't present. I have hung out with her friends and her in-laws before and I think that's why she justified inviting them. Still didn't want them there, lol. Top comments. Not the a-hole. She is extremely disrespectful to you and your husband. She's making it all about her. I wonder if she's jealous of you in a way, feeling like she should always be the center of attention, but you tend to be as a result of your challenges in trying to conceive, not that you want to be. She likely volunteered to throw a gender reveal party in order to be at its center and to bask in the glow of the event. It was really her party for herself with you as the excuse. So your wants and needs didn't matter to her. She is an enormous a-hole, and you may want to go no contact with her at least until you have a successful delivery. I wish you and your husband the best. Not the a-hole. Why the hell did she invite her friends? What's wrong with her? Not the a-hole. I can't even understand how people disregard the only request. It's like you had one job. Especially in your situation. I'm so sorry she did that. No, you are not ungrateful, you are rightfully sad, disappointed, pissed. She was inconsiderate and kinda selfish, at an event that is not about her. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.